Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. My name is Lynette. Today, we're going to talk about painting the world your color. In other words, how you want your world to be. But first, I want to talk to you about familiarity. If you look around at your surroundings, they're probably not exactly how you want them to be, how you would like your life to be, but it is familiar to you. And there's something to be said for familiarity. Whether it's abusive or loving, we tend to gravitate toward what is familiar to us. I'm going to share with you a little story which confirms how I know this. I ran across a girl that was looking for a room to rent, and I happened to have a room for rent. Now, she was kind of well known. I don't know why, but a lot of people warned me not to rent to her. And I said to myself, I'm not going to listen to gossip. I'm not going to listen to rumors. I'm going to help this girl because she had a history of alcohol, I know. I'm not sure about drugs. But I had her move in. And every day when she'd come downstairs, I would say, good morning. I tried to make life as comfortable and happy as possible for her, trying to give her what perhaps I felt she'd been lacking all these years. And it seemed to be working, actually. She was enjoying life. She got a job. But one day she came home and she said, I keyed my boyfriend's truck, so if the police call, don't tell him. And I thought, what? First of all, I wish she hadn't told me. But second of all, I thought, man, things were going so well for her. And then she does this. And then she came home a few days later and she said, I'm going to steal my boyfriend's dog. And I thought, why? What are you going to do with this dog once you steal it? It made me realize that she needed to have some drama. So she did. She stirred the pot until the drama came up to the top again. There was nothing I could do. In other words, if somebody wants to make a change and let go of their past or the drama, they have to want to do it. Otherwise, it's unfamiliar to them. And we're getting back to that familiarity. It was familiar to her to live in complete chaos constantly. It ended up where I eventually had to call the police on her. And with the help from her family, she did move out. But it made me realize that you can't always help someone the way you want to. Because if they don't want to be helped, or if they're used to living a life of drama, they have to want to get rid of that drama. And this is one of the reasons I've come to this episode of painting the world the color you want it. In other words, think about what you want out of your life, whether it be a relationship, your career, where you live, and are you willing to let go of what has been familiar to you? But before we get started on the way we want our world to look, let's go over some things that we already covered in earlier episodes. And one of those things is you have to keep reeling yourself back in to be in the present moment. Because in order to get the spiritual guidance that you need, you've got to be in the present moment and not have your mind either ahead of you or behind you. You've got to stay focused and keep moving forward. The other thing we talked about is not depending on anyone else to make you happy. Because if you're doing that, that means you're following another person. And your mind is more focused on what they're doing and are they accepting you. The main thing is that you accept you. In fact, we live in a society of numbers. Look at Facebook, look at Instagram. and it depends on how many likes we have. There is truly only one like that matters on your Facebook account, and that is that you like yourself. And once you accomplish that, you become almost a magnet to others, and they will come towards you, probably more so than you ever anticipated or expected. Remember, what others are doing isn't really your business. Therefore, you need not judge them. What they do shouldn't make you happy or unhappy. Also, in all of this, in painting the world the color you wanted, is keeping your priorities straight. And once again, they are God, yourself, which is not selfish, because if you give all of what you have nothing left to give anybody else. Then your family, and then others. Remember, if you need a fast track to get to the current moment, you can always say to yourself, it's okay to glance at the past, but don't stare. Do not depend on anyone to make you happy. Think about what you want, what you want your world to look like. What would make you the happiest to surround yourself with? And thirdly, keep your priorities straight. I know it's easy to get off track. It is imperative that you reel yourself in every time and stay focused on what is right. Now we're going to talk about painting the world our color. Now that we have our person, our mind in order, they can be placed anywhere and in any situation if you've got those priorities straight. And that includes staying focused on what is going on in your life right now. As I said earlier, we all have a past. We've all been hurt. And it doesn't do any good to live in that. Now, this world, the most obvious things that human beings desire are love. How do you want your love situation to be? Are you looking for Mr. Right, Mrs. Right? I need you to think about that. Or if you're already in a relationship, what needs to be tweaked in it? And then it might be a career that means that much to you, or second to your love life, whatever the case may be. What kind of career do you want? How do you want people to see you? And thirdly, think about where you want to live. Do you want to live in another state, another city, even another country? Or just simply change residence? Perhaps you want to stay where you are, but there's things you want to change about that. These are just some of the things as human beings that are at the top of the list of our desires, but only you know what you really desire in your own life. Could be health, could be weight, gain or lose. But in all of this, we need to be willing to let go of what is familiar to us. Sometimes people are in abusive relationships, and they'll end up in a second abusive relationship because it is familiar to them. You need to tell yourself you deserve the best, and you do. Shake off how you were raised and focus from here on out, from this day forward, what you want your world to look like. Some of the tools we will use to get there are things that we've already discussed. And one of them that is very important is spirituality. And again, to get those spiritual messages, you've got to keep a clear head. Another is we talked about the intention board. It's important to make one of those, and that is simply putting your goals, your heart's desires, on a board. You can cut pictures out of a magazine that resemble what your heart's desire is. And look at that. And plus, having it go out into the universe. It's amazing, but it does happen. And you need to give God thanks already in advance. Walk in this life like you already have it and know you deserve it. Again, it doesn't matter how you're raised or what is familiar to you. You have every right to make your world the way you want it. So really think long and hard about what it is that you want in this world, how you want your life, your love, your career, your home, anything. And walk in that. Walk like you already have it. We talked about what others do is not your business, but at the same time, what you do, what your desires are, and what you're walking toward are nobody else's business. It is between you and God. Keep focused on that and keep moving forward. Sometimes I think people feel they don't deserve to have their best life or to have life the way they want it. But you do. In fact, having clarity about what you want is a huge advantage. Again, it's nobody else's business. Stay focused on what you want. Live like you have it. Keep moving toward it, no matter what you're doing, no matter what your job is. And of course, we have to do our part, trying to keep ourselves healthy physically, mentally, emotionally, do our exercises. All of that, of course, falls into play, which makes it kind of fun because when you really start to think about getting prepared to having the world the way you want it, or your world the way you want it, it's kind of fun to do everything every day working toward that. Doing your exercises, getting up, having your coffee, meditating, staying focused. With every step you take, stay focused. In the past, we talked about the carnal world and the spiritual world. And as far as the carnal world goes, yes, we're here in the physical. We have to go apply for those jobs. We have to do all that we can do in the physical to get where we want to be. But the unseen to everybody else is our spiritual also. And that's getting the spiritual guidance. And those that don't tap into that are really missing a lot because you can get wisdom that literally surpasses all understanding. But there is one thing that I want you to keep in mind, and that is don't be married to the outcome of all of this. In other words, the way things are going to happen are not necessarily how you would imagine in your own head. But it's so interesting how when we want something or pray for something and it comes, sometimes we don't recognize it. I think I shared with you when I made an intention board, I had a red sports car on there and I had forgotten about it. And I was shopping at a car lot and I saw this red sports car. And I was interested in it. It needed a new top. It was a convertible. So I bought it, had a new top put on, and it wasn't until sometime later I looked at my board and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm driving the car that I wanted. So what I'm saying, sometimes when our heart's desire is to bring something to us or we want something, when we get it, we have it in our own head, pictured how we think it should be, and it's not necessarily that way. So you have to be open to the outcome being, and you have to trust that it will turn out the way that is the best for you. In other words, let go and just walk in trust, walk in faith, and just know within your heart that everything is going to turn out for the best. And that's why you walk in gratitude every day, because even though we can't see what's happening behind the scenes, it is happening, and it is coming together. I know I shared with you last episode about you pray for what you want, you believe in what you want, you have faith in what you want, you stay open to guidance, to bringing you closer and closer to your heart's desire. And in the meantime, while you're waiting for that to materialize, you do all that you can do to make yourself the best that you can be. That would be eating right, exercise, whatever the case may be. And by doing all of this, it's easier to live and let live because other people have their goals, their heart's desires, etc. And what you desire, what they desire are two different things. And it doesn't matter. What they desire is not your business. What you desire is not their business. But you can still walk in knowing that you are walking toward your goal, toward making your life the way that you want it. Because you deserve that. To sum it all up, we've got to let go of what's been familiar to us because it doesn't matter. And in other words, set your intentions on how you want your world to be, regardless of where you came from, what you grew up with. In other words, let go of familiarity. Stay focused on the present moment. Remember, if you need a fast track to getting there, you can always say, it's okay to glance at the past, but don't stare. But try your best to keep your head clear so you can get the messages that will direct you to where you need to be and want to be. Don't look at others to make you happy because then you end up following them. Your focus is straight out looking at them instead of looking up. Again, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself here, but it's imperative that you hear this and you start working on it. Make your intention board. Figure out how you want your world to look, how you want your career, how you want your love life, how you want your home, and start working toward that. Think of a game plan. You're going to get up, you're going to exercise, you're going to have your coffee, you're going to meditate, whatever it takes, whatever makes you happy. When you go to work, do a good job. Don't gossip. Don't judge. Stay focused on what you're doing and be the best that you can be at it. And your world will start moving toward the direction that you want it to be. But remember, do not be married to how you think the income should be. Be open to how the outcome is going to be. It'll be the best outcome for you. Actually, I've been kind of moving in this direction myself since this pandemic. I've been forced to stay home. Therefore, I'm doing a little bit more exercises, and I'm guilty of going out to eat a lot normally. So I've been eating home, and therefore it's made me feel a little better mentally and physically. Sometimes I actually get a little bit excited to get up to do my exercises, because it feels good to be moving forward. I could go on and on about this subject, but only you know what your heart's desires are. And we're covering a lot of them at once. With that being said, I'm very excited for you to start your new way of living, and I will talk to you next week. Until then, have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.